are you?
I'm good, Trey. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Well, this is an amazing event, and it sounds like last year was an amazing kickoff. But, you're like, look, if folks came last year, they're going to be excited about this year. I first want to talk about the organizing body. As I just shared there in the opening, how important it is for us to uplift so many of the organizers who pour into this. How has it been for you to work with the other organizers of this event to pull this off and bring this out to the community?
Well, nothing happens without a lot of effort. The artistic director, Ramon Bryant Braxton, has been working on this year's show since the fall of 2022, gleaning his learnings from last year's inaugural performance on Father's Day 2022. So he's been reflecting on the show, refining it, getting together his featured performers for this year, thinking about his run of show, the songs he wanted to have in it, and then for each piece, someone has to sit down and write an orchestral score. So a song that may have had some simple harmonies, now you've got to write in a violin line and a flute line and a harp line. So for the 50-piece orchestra, that song has to be written for every one of those 50 instruments. And not everybody knows how to do that. So he has to pull together a team of writers for all 12 pieces in this concert. He's writing a couple of them, and then he's got to pull together a team of writers so that every song can be translated into a full orchestral score. So he's got to pull together the team of writers after he determines what the run of show is going to be and start that whole project. Then he's got to start thinking about the orchestra for the year and when he's going to select the orchestra and who's going to help him with that. Then he's got to pull together a 40-voice choir of people who are from Everett down to Lacey that is truly representative of the Pacific Northwest. All those things have to work together. Then I, as executive director, I'm pulling together the production team, the marketing people, the setup people, the people at the venue at the Paramount Theatre, arranging for hotel arrangements, flight arrangements, for all of those things. All of the media stuff and the graphics, and to pull all that together. There are lots of teams that have to work together all toward the one goal of when people sit in a seat at 7 p.m. next Sunday night, the capstone of their Father's Day celebrations will be this magnificent journey through African American history where the music is the soundtrack of our existence.
Wow. I mean, this is such a phenomenal feat. And we were just talking earlier about the need for us to have a multitude of events that cater to so many different needs. And you were saying, this fine art space where y'all really fit in this amazing pocket. Tell us more about when you said even last year, like, hey, we can do something that's a bit different from all of these other amazing events that are going on while celebrating and supporting them. Let's do something a bit different. Tell us more about the decision to pull this all together.
Well, last year, if you recall, as African Americans from coast to coast, we were pushing for Voting Rights Act. And once again, America being true to its colors, said they gave us symbolism over substance. They gave us a Juneteenth holiday. We wanted a Voting Rights Act. So once again, black folks, we have to make lemonade out of lemons. So we take a holiday that we've been celebrating amongst ourselves in parks and in backyards with our barbecues and our kente cloth and our songs, and I love all that, and I do all that, and I'll be attending several celebrations again this year. So we've had to take this maiden national celebration of a celebration that we've been doing amongst ourselves the last 160 years and use it to bring attention back to the unfinished agenda of becoming a more perfect union, which requires, in part, protecting everybody's access to the suffrage. That said, I asked the political leaders, what is Seattle, what is the Washington state that prides itself so much on racial equity? How are we celebrating Juneteenth? Given the fact that we have only the second African-American mayor, are we just going to let it pass by, or are we going to do something to celebrate it? And everybody gave me the deer in the headlight look. So they asked me, do you have anything in mind? I said, I'm glad you asked. Yes, I do. I asked the question, how does Marian Anderson and Paul Robeson get a footprint, a traction into our Juneteenth celebrations because they don't sing at the park. They sing in the concert halls. So I said, give me one of our top concert halls. Give me Benaroya. Give me McCall Hall. Give me Paramount. Give me Fifth Avenue. Give me a 50-piece orchestra. Give me a 7 to 10-piece rhythm section. Give me a 40-piece choir. Let me hire an artistic director who can write music, compose music, direct a choir, direct an orchestra, put together a run of show that will fit the thematic framework that I will provide, pull it all together. And I said, I will give you a cultural experience that you rarely see outside of an Atlanta, a Chicago, a Baltimore, a DC, where you have a larger black demographic and a deeper talent pool and historic institutions like our HBCUs and larger black churches that produce and then develop and then deploy that kind of talent. You don't see that out here in the Pacific Northwest. We don't have the demographic to support it. And so my goal as a son of the Northwest, who went back east for 15 years, came back to the Northwest, was to pull west of the Mississippi, north of California, a world-class fine arts production that features African-American talent for the Northwest audience because, as Langston Hughes said, if I can see it, I can be it, because one becomes what one beholds. And kids growing up in the Pacific Northwest, not just black kids, but white kids, and all adults, they need to see the best of black folks here in the Northwest, where you usually see a kind of anemic version of us just because of the demographics. This is a corrective experience to see world class, even here in the Pacific Northwest, of black culture.
Oh my goodness. Snaps on that. Because you're so right. When I was at Howard and experiencing the depth of...
Oh, you went to Howard?
Yes, sir.
Oh, don't tell my daughter Carissa.
Uh-oh. Go Bison.
HU.
You already know. But being there and seeing the depth of black theater.
Yes.
Because I went there for a theater program, and it was so phenomenal for me to experience the rich history that you speak of. It was just known. Black folks go to theater in the East Coast.
Yes.
Like, it's a thing.
Yes.
And, here we're still trying to get folks to understand that these are spaces for us. I'm grateful because in my partnerships through Converge with, STG and also with McCall Hall, with Pacific Northwest Ballet and Seattle Opera, I'm encouraging folks because I'm telling you, these shows are phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And we actually have such a deep heritage of creative expression. And all of these amazing fine art shows that I get to attend just showcase that at the highest level, as you said. So I love that intentionality was built into your approach, and that you were able to essentially give that challenge to the city. Say, look at what we can produce when we have all of this amazing talent in one show. We're going to show you what that looks like.
Absolutely.
But I really want to zone in a bit here on the historical references when you're talking about infusing the education pieces into what you do and into the musical choices for this concert. Tell us more about what the audience can experience in terms of gaining some of the understanding of that deep history.
The concept that I'm working from, which I presented to the kind of political establishment and then to the cultural folks out there, was to take the African music tradition that jumped the Atlantic via the slave ships, settled into the soil of the daily lives of an enslaved people and otherwise oppressed after 244 years of chattel slavery, that the music evolved into various genres. In fact, the most authentically American music is black music. So that African music tradition began as field songs after the Christianization of the enslaved African population in the mid-1700s. Then they became spirituals. Later, they were concertized spirituals. They evolved then into jazz, evolved into the blues, evolved into rhythm and blues, evolved into hip-hop, evolved into spoken word. But each one of these genres of music, if you do a DNA sampling of them, they function in two ways. Number one, as a tool of political resistance, whether it's civil rights marchers saying, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, or whether it's Tupac Shakur saying, keep your head up, or Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes saying, wake up everybody, the world ain't gonna get no better if we just let it be, and as a source of hope. Whether it's civil rights marchers, again, saying, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome one day. Or the great hymn writer, Charles A. Tindley, saying, harder yet may be the fight. Right may often yield to might. Wickedness a while may reign. Satan's cause may seem to gain, but there is a God that rules above with a powerful arm and a heart of love. But if I'm right, God will fight our battles. We shall be free one day. All of our music, like jazz, moving from the major to the minor chord, because our lives move from the major to the minor chord. But it gives us literally a political weapon to fight back against the ravages of the relentless assault of white racism, anti-blackness on the lives and the psyches and even the bodies of black people, and a well from which to dip every day to put wind back in our sails to keep fighting for our lives, fighting from the margins of society into the mainstream. Our music, I literally believe if you lost every book on black history and every book on American history that speaks of our Odyssey, if you just captured the lyrics of our music, you could reconstruct our total history in this country. Our music is the soundtrack of our Odyssey in this United States of America.
Yeah, I could listen to this all day because you're really speaking to the heart and soul of where so much creativity is birthed.
Yes.
And, you know, the fact that that level of understanding is the foundation for which you produce this amazing event just tells me so much of what I need to know in terms of what the audience will experience. Because oftentimes we see creative stuff, it's like, oh, people are really experiencing it at the surface level, right? Whatever that is. Okay, great harmony, great music, great sound. But to have such a deep intentionality, I just know that the audience is walking away with that level of understanding, some of that insight that you pour into it. People are receiving it. What was some of the response from last year's inaugural performance that y'all heard as an organizing team? You know, how were folks receiving this amazing concert last year?
Well, last year, a lot of people thought, there go Braxton again. He from Tacoma. They all about to hype, and then they walked out saying, wow, his mouth wrote a check that he cashed.
Wow.
And it was a jaw-dropping experience. And one of the things that caught so many people by surprise was that the promised diversity in genre was delivered in full. And this year's show is last year's show on steroids.
Wow.
Because we have the experience of last year. And by that I mean, you're going to experience not a type of music, but all types of music. Because the black musicology, black musical tree has many branches that have broken off in the evolution. So you're going to hear some highbrow, world-class classical music from people who've won Grammys in classical music. Jacqueline Echols, Solomon Howard, that the Kennedy Center, 2021, the leading bass voice in the world in opera. And yet, he's one of the world-class percussionists that you're going to see him playing percussions throughout the program. But you're not only going to hear classical, for those who love classical, you also are going to hear jazz. You also are going to hear R&B. You are also going to hear some Earth, Wind, and Fire. You are also going to hear some Louis Armstrong, It's a Wonderful World. I don't want to give it all away, but you're also going to hear some rap and some spoken word. Whatever is your slice of the pie, whatever floats your boat, you're going to hear it all. And then you're going to see artists who sing classical over here have the nerve to come over here and do some speak over, do some spoken word, do some R&B. Because in the black community, we don't live in dichotomies. We got that from white folks who try to chop everything up. We are fluid. Most of our gospel artists also sang secular music because we don't live in sacred secular dichotomies. So the versatility of the performers is one of the shocking things as you see the diversity of the music, but the versatility of the performers.
Wow. Dr. Reverend Leslie Braxton putting it down. I'm excited. I definitely need tickets to the show. I need to come. I need to be there.
Yes, you do.
I'm so excited because, we've been playing the commercial here, and I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to talk to him to learn more. And here you are just enlightening me and the audience. Thank you so much for what you've done. Of course, I got to give you time to look right in that camera. Make sure folks know how to show up for this amazing event.
Don't cheat yourself. Go to songsofblackfolk.org, www.songsofblackfolk.org. One word, www.songsofblackfolk.org. It will pop up. You can purchase your tickets there. They start as low as $30. We intentionally started low because we don't want to price black folks out of Songs of Black Folk. The top ticket is $75. They go $30, $45, $60, $75, so that everyone can get in on this. If you want to stop by the Paramount box office, you can buy them there. But www.songsofblackfolk.org. Buy your tickets. They are moving, so please don't wait till tomorrow. Get your tickets and be there. And let your Father's Day celebration, let the capstone be that you are sitting there in the Paramount in this magical moment that will culminate with a musical tribute to fathers with a unique presentation of one of Earth, Wind, and Fire's greatest hits. I'm not going to ruin the surprise any more than that, but there's going to be a musical tribute to fathers that should be the capstone of your day, honoring your father, your husband, your son, your boyfriend. Be there.
Wow. And shout out to STG Presents, the whole Seattle Theater Group for partnering with you all to bring it to the Paramount this year. It's I know that their partnership is phenomenal, but also their intentionality to ensure that everyone feels welcome at their theaters and really at the Paramount too, because it's such an amazing, big, huge, historic space. So kudos to you for all the work that you've done and for bringing this partnership together so that we all get to experience this amazing concert. I can't wait to be there on the 18th, 7 p.m. at the Paramount. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Wow. Y'all,